Let's talk about something truly transformative, something that can change the way you see yourself and the world around you. This is the sign to awaken the quantum you. When you tap into the quantum field, you are stepping into a realm of infinite possibilities. Imagine you are tuning a radio dial. When you find the right frequency, you lock into that station. In the same way, when you find the right frequency in the quantum field, you align yourself with the energy of your desires. This isn't just a theory, it's a practice backed by science. The universe is always responding to the energy we put out. It's like a mirror reflecting back to us what we believe we are worthy of receiving. When you feel truly worthy, when you feel abundant, when you feel unlimited, you are telling the universe, I am ready. And the universe responds by initiating you into a new reality of wealth, health, and joy. To awaken the quantum you need to start with a clear vision of your future. This isn't just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about embodying the feelings of your desired future. When you feel the emotions of your future now, you are teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. You begin to signal new genes and new ways in your body, making your desired future a reality. Imagine feeling the joy of your dreams coming true every single day. Your body doesn't know the difference between the experience in your life that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone. The latest research in epigenetics tells us this is absolutely possible. Every day you are installing the circuitry for your future. Every day you are conditioning your body into the emotion of your future. This is how you awaken the quantum you. Now let's get practical. If you think that your thoughts have something to do with your future, and you think 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same as the day before, then your life isn't going to change very much. If you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you're left with the memories of the past. Is it possible then that the way you think and the way you feel can begin to produce effects in your outer world? Absolutely. This is a process. It's about gaining knowledge, practicing, and experiencing. Once you start seeing synchronicities, coincidences, and opportunities that fall into place because you're experiencing change in your outer world, you will start paying attention to what you're doing inside of you. When you correlate the changes of what you're doing inside of you with the effects you produce outside of you, you start to believe more that you're the creator of your life and less the victim of it. Your thoughts lead to your choices lead to your behaviors create your experiences produce your emotions, and those emotions drive your thoughts. This is a cycle that reinforces your current reality. If you want to change your reality, you have to change your thoughts, choices, behaviors, and emotions. This is how you awaken the quantum you. Let's go deeper. The universe only gives us what we think we're worthy of receiving. So we must come to this understanding. If you want to create a new life, a new personal reality, you have to change your personality. This means you need to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. Become conscious of your unconscious actions, habits, and behaviors and modify them. Look at the emotions you live by every single day that keep you connected to the past and decide if these emotions belong in your future. Most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. Can you select a new possibility in the quantum field and begin to emotionally embrace that future every single day to such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, does not know the difference between the experience in your life that's creating the emotion and the emotion you're fabricating by thought alone? To the degree that you begin to signal new genes and new ways in your body to look like the experience has already happened. Yes, you can. This is where it gets fun. You no longer have to go anywhere to get what you want. If you keep revisiting that energetic signature every single day, then the new job finds you. The new house finds you. The new relationship finds you. You become the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. The universe is responding to the vibrational match between your energy and the potential that exists in the quantum field. Think about this. If you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your future, just from a theoretical standpoint, and you think 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same as the day before, then your life isn't going to change very much if you keep thinking the same way. If you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you're left with the memories of the past. Is it possible, then, that the way you think and the way you feel can begin to produce effects in your outer world? Absolutely. This idea might sound a bit overwhelming at first, but don't worry. It's not something you have to understand or master all at once. Instead, it's a journey, a process that involves gaining knowledge, practicing what you learn, and experiencing the results. First, let's talk about gaining knowledge. This means learning about how your thoughts and emotions can impact your reality. There are many resources available, such as books, videos, and courses that can help you understand this concept better. By studying and learning, you start to build a foundation of knowledge that supports the idea that your inner world, your thoughts and feelings, can influence your outer world. Next comes practicing. Once you have some knowledge, it's time to put it into action. This might involve using techniques like meditation, visualization, affirmations, or mindfulness. For example, you might start each day by visualizing your goals and imagining how you will feel when you achieve them. Or you might practice gratitude, taking time each day to focus on things you are thankful for. These practices help you align your thoughts and feelings with what you want to create in your life. As you continue to practice, you will start to notice changes. This is where the real magic happens. You might begin to see synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to happen out of the blue. For instance, you might be thinking about a new job, and suddenly a friend tells you about an opening at their company. Or you might be feeling more positive and then notice that opportunities are coming your way more frequently. These synchronicities and opportunities are signs that your outer world is beginning to reflect the changes you are making inside. When you start seeing these changes, it's important to pay attention. Notice what you were thinking and feeling before these events happened. This is crucial because it helps you make the connection between your inner state and the effects in your outer world. Once you start making these connections, you can begin to replicate the process. For example, if you notice that practicing gratitude leads to more positive experiences, you will be more motivated to continue this practice. By doing this, you reinforce the idea that your inner world is powerful and that you have the ability to shape your reality. Remember, those same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the exact same experiences, and we anticipate the same feelings or emotions from those experiences. Those emotions are the payoff that drive our very same thoughts. So our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our hormones, and even our gene expression are equal to how we think, how we act, and how we feel. How we think, how we act, and how we feel is called our personality. And our personality creates our personal reality. Now, I want you to begin to understand that thoughts are very powerful. Feelings drive our thoughts, and you can create a better life for yourself once you understand these principles. We live in a world where people often think about visioning the future in terms of stuff. They envision the car they want, the amount of money they want, or the home they want. They see this with people and their vision boards. So what's the right type of visioning? Well, there are so many different variations because people integrate information differently. Those cars, homes, and whatever else are symbols of what it looks like when a person arrives at this concept called abundance. If those things help someone associate with something that creates a feeling of abundance and they're building their vision board to get clear on their intent, then that's fine. They're associating objects or material things with the feeling of abundance. For others, abundance just means having more than they need and being happy with that. They associate abundance with a feeling. When they dream about their future, they may see themselves in a scene or see themselves a certain way. I don't care what it takes for someone to get there, because when they finally have everything they want, there's only one thing they'll ask themselves: how am I going to contribute to the world? How am I going to make a difference? We use different tools to help people get to that point. These tools include things like vision boards, meditation, positive affirmations, and journaling. Each tool is designed to help you focus your mind on what you want to achieve and feel the emotions of having it now. But let's talk about vision boards for a moment. A vision board is a collage of pictures, words, and other items that represent your goals and dreams. It's a visual reminder of what you are aiming for. Many people create vision boards to help them visualize their future. They might put pictures of new cars, new houses, or happy relationships on their boards. The idea is that by looking at these images every day, you will start to believe that these things are possible for you. However, there is a common mistake that people often make with vision boards. They look at their vision board and think, when I get my new car, my new house, my new relationship, then I'll feel so great. They believe that once these things happen, they will finally be happy and satisfied. This way of thinking is actually counterproductive. When you think like this, you are falling back into the old habit of waiting for something external to change in order to feel a certain way. You are waiting for your outer world to change before you allow yourself to feel better. This means you are putting your happiness and satisfaction on hold until you get what you want. But this is not how the law of attraction works. The law of attraction is based on the idea that like attracts like. If you are constantly waiting for something to happen in order to feel happy, you are sending out a signal of lack and dissatisfaction to the universe. The universe responds to your dominant feelings and beliefs, not just your desires. If your dominant feeling is one of waiting and lack, you will attract more waiting and lack into your life. There is no effect of drawing the experience to you that way. In other words, if you keep thinking, I'll be happy when I get my new car, you are actually pushing that experience away from you. This is because you are not aligning your energy with the feeling of already having what you want. You are staying in a state of wanting and waiting, which attracts more of the same. So, the person has to use those tools to get into the emotional state of feeling like it's already happened. Think about this. If you get up from a creative process and feel grateful, a love for life, a joy for existence, a passion for the moment, you won't be looking for your future because you'll feel like it's already happened. The moment we start feeling self-limiting emotions, we feel separation and start looking for it again. If you're waiting, you're not creating, you're in separation again. So whatever it takes to move into a state of being, and what is a state of being? Thoughts are the vocabulary of the brain. Feelings are the vocabulary of your body. How you think and how you feel create your state of being. If you wake up in the morning with a clean slate and say, I don't feel anything, and then start thinking about all the problems in your life, all those problems are connected to different people, objects, or things at different times and places. The moment you remember your problems, a memory is a record of the past. You're thinking in the past. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated with being uncertain or can't control something, actually sets off the stress response. So now you're in the unknown and this survival gene is switched on. Of course, people are going out of the infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field. They're going to select the worst scenario in their mind, right? So then what if you're in the unknown and you understand that, and now you can work back into that present moment and you say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain, put my attention behind? What behaviors today, one day, what behaviors do I want to demonstrate? And the act of closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing who you're going to be when you open your eyes begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now, the brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. So by rehearsing mentally and doing it over and over again, the hardware becomes a software program, and who knows, you just might start acting like a happy person. Well, there's no magic there. You install the circuitry. You may start thinking in more unlimited ways. You put those circuits in place. Now here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what that future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? That means you can't wait for your healing to feel gratitude and wholeness. You can't wait for your wealth to feel worthy and abundant. You can't wait for your new lover to feel love. That's the old model of reality of cause and effect, waiting for something outside of us to take away our emptiness and pain that we feel inside of us. That's Newtonian cause and effect. The quantum model of reality is about causing an effect. That means the moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you create an equal. The moment you start feeling gratitude and wholeness, your healing actually starts to begin. They're actually waiting for their health to improve to feel gratitude. They're waiting for their new relationship to feel joy and gratitude and thankfulness. They're waiting for the new career to happen. Once it happens, then they celebrate and feel gratitude. If you believe that your thoughts and feelings produce an effect in your life, and you're living in the lack every single day waiting for it to happen, you're separate from the experience. If you think about the emotional signature of gratitude, when you are receiving something that you like, that's pleasurable. You've just gotten or received something that is pleasurable. Something just happened to you, or something's happening to you that you like. You say thank you. You feel gratitude. The emotional signature of gratitude is that something has already happened. It is the absolute perfect state of receiving. It is the absolute state of receivership. Here's an example. A person gets a diagnosis. The diagnosis is something like cancer. The first moment they hear that word, they feel fear. They feel a change in their internal state, and they pay attention to what the doctor says. They take a snapshot and they create that memory. They remember the moment the doctor said that. Now they're in fear, they're scared, they're going to think positively, or they're saying, I'm going to beat this thing. Well, if they're feeling fear, they can only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to their emotional state. Fear thoughts will be the only ones that will make it in there. Now, if the person changes fear to gratitude, as an example, and they really start training their heart, we can measure when a person feels gratitude, what happens to their heart. Their heart gets regulated, it starts beating more coherently, it starts increasing energy to the brain, it starts creating an ambient field around the body. This is when your heart starts working for you, that when a person starts feeling gratitude, then the emotional signature in the body is that something's happening to them or something's just happened to them. Now we have available energy to begin to design a destiny with. So then a person who moves into that elegant state of being where they're expanded and they're enriched and they're in love with life, then they can't go back to the old self, because that is their new state of being. So then if you practice that every day, sooner or later, it's going to begin to become familiar to you. So then if you're creating wealth and you're in the state of being of abundant, you better not be thinking lacking thoughts, because an abundant person would never do that. You can't demonstrate that you're not making choices because you believe that there's not enough, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of money. A wealthy person would never think that you can't feel unworthy and lacking if you're going to be a wealthy person. So by very logic and reason, you've got to lay that down and move into this state of being. Now, once you're in that state of being, can't sit on the couch and wait for the phone call. Once you're in that state of being, you've got to start making choices into the unknown from that state of being. You've got to trust in the unknown. The moment you don't make the choice, you just doubted your creation. You return back to the known. And so people then, when you're in that state of being, the miraculous happens when you say, okay, I'm going to go for it, but you're not going to go for it from as your limited emotional self. You're going to go for it as your unlimited self. And you begin to make those choices and you step out into the unknown. That's when the miraculous happens. And you say, oh my God, I'm so glad I made that choice. But then waking up in the morning, then impriming your brain and body to make that change is the key. There's 2 times the door to the subconscious mind opens up. When we wake up in the morning and we go to bed at night. Why? In that crossover place. Because your brain goes from deep delta brain waves to theta brain waves to alpha brain waves to beta brain waves. Why? And when you go to bed at night, it goes from beta to alpha to theta to delta. And if you can't get there, you're stuck in high beta, it's because you're driving the sports car in first gear. So people do whatever they can to get down there. So the brain chemistry works in accordance with this. When you wake up in the morning and the receptors in the back of your eye pick up light, the moment that happens, your optic nerve sends a signal to the pineal gland, and the pineal gland starts making serotonin. And serotonin is the daytime neurotransmitter. In other words, serotonin gets you up and going, it gets your brain turned on. The moment it starts getting dark at night, and your eye is no longer picking up visible light, the mechanism starts to change. And now, because there's less light, the optic nerve sends a signal to the pineal gland. The pineal gland takes serotonin and starts carving off a couple methyl groups and turns it into melatonin. And melatonin is the nighttime neurotransmitter. So Sarah gets you up in the morning and Mel puts you to bed at night. Now, when serotonin increases, your brainwave patterns go into beta. That's because you're going to pay attention more to the outer world. When you're in meditation and you close your eyes and you eliminate light and it's dark in the room and you play music in the background, you put earplugs in, you're getting less sensory data coming in from your environment. So the neocortex is not so preoccupied with trying to create meaning between the outer world and the inner world. You're forgetting about the outer world, and the inner world is where you're cultivating something. And when you close your eyes and do your meditation, then your brain waves move into melatonin. But if you're waking up in the morning and you're waking up at 5 in the morning, guess what? Your brain waves will probably be in theta or alpha. You're in your subconscious. You're past the beta thinking. If you go to bed at night, I have friends that are artists and playwrights and musicians. They stay up till 2 in the morning. They love that 11 o'clock till 2 in the morning. They're in nighttime. They're in alpha. They got all these creative ideas. Me, I'm a morning person. I wake up, I'm up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. It's my time to create. I set aside a certain amount of time. That's my time because the rest of the day I'm serving. So I like to get myself right in the morning. So doing that then begins to alter brainwave patterns. Now, if you move from beta to alpha, there'll come an amazing moment. If you do this right, you'll slip into theta. Now, theta is when your body is asleep, but your mind is awake. So think about this. If your body's asleep and you've conditioned it to be the mind through addictions or habits, the moment the body's asleep, it's no longer the mind. So there's no longer any resistance, and that's where instantaneous change takes place. If you go too far, you slip into delta, and that's called deep sleep, restorative sleep. And people say to me, well, I really can't meditate. And I say, really, where do you meditate? Oh, in bed. Yeah, well, get out of bed. You're going to go right to delta. So then what we noticed in our research, to finish that other thought, is that there comes a moment when you're in that coherent level of alpha, and all of a sudden you slip into theta. And all of a sudden, when theta turns on, all of a sudden you start seeing this amazing change take place. And the body becomes so relaxed, and the energy centers, the sympathetic nervous system switches on. Most of our thoughts and feelings come from our past experiences. They come from our memories. In fact, your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of all the things you've learned and experienced to date. It's an artifact. And when you have an experience, when you're in the midst of an experience, all of your 5 senses plug you into the external environment. And as your brain is processing all of this vital sensory data, all of that information rushes back to the brain. And when it reaches the brain, It causes jungles of neurons to organize themselves into networks, to string into patterns, to reflect their interaction with their external environment. The moment those neurons organize into patterns, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And so experiences tend to create more long-term memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually. We also cause networks of neurons to form. The Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learn just one bit of information, they double the number of connections in their brain from 10,300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. You can remember where you were on 9/11. You can tell me who you were with, what time of day it was, what you were doing, because whatever you were seeing in that moment or hearing in that moment changed how you were feeling. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. So as you inhale now, you're pulling that energy and contracting these muscles, and you're locking that first center down, and you're squeezing and you're milking this energy out of there. So it goes first center, then you follow your breath into the second center, and as you follow your breath into the second center, now you lock this one down. And the way you lock it down is you pull in your belly button close to your spine, you pull it in. So then inhale, first center, then you pull in the second center. You're still following your breath slowly and steadily, and then you pull it up into your upper abdomen, and you're locking down the center here. Now you're squeezing all three of these lower centers, and when you squeeze these muscles, you begin to push that cerebral spinal fluid up. You follow your breath up into your chest, shoulders down. You follow it through your throat, straighten your spine. You follow it all the way up to the top of your head. Now where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. So then as you inhale, you bring that energy all the way up to the top. You keep following your breath. You lock all the way to the top. When you get to the top, now you hold your breath. And when you hold your breath, you contract those intrinsic muscles, and you begin to lift those muscles up, and you begin to compress those muscles, and you begin to push that cerebral spinal fluid up into your brain. So then why do I ask you to inhale and hold your breath? Now this isn't inhaling and turning purple and pushing. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. It's a slow, steady breath, and you follow that breath all the way to the top, either to the top of your head, or you put your awareness on where that pineal gland is, between the back of your throat and the back of your head. Now when you inhale, that inhalation is very slow and very steady. It's not a big inhalation and pushing. It's a slow, steady breath, and you're contracting these muscles and coordinating it, and you're following your breath all the way to the top of your head. And when you get to the top of your head, I'm going to ask you to inhale a little bit more, and as you pull up, you're going to lock these muscles down even further, and you're lifting them up. Once you lift them up and you have your attention either on the top of your head or the space that your pineal gland occupies in space, I'm going to ask you to lock those muscles down and pump, squeeze, or push. And I want you to push that fluid up into your brain by squeezing the muscles. Not by holding your breath harder, but by squeezing those muscles. I want you to begin to pump that fluid and begin to compress up against your pineal gland. When you do this breath, you have to demonstrate a will that's greater than any program. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind or any addiction to any emotion. You have to inspiration, the movement of energy. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. For some people, their body will do unusual things. That's information trying to be integrated into it. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. If your body does weird things, more than likely that's energy moving to your brain. If you have a lapse of consciousness, or you all of a sudden find yourself on the ground, that's energy moving into your brain. It's happened to me numerous times. It's a sign that you're getting close or at least doing it correctly. Now, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. Inspiration, the movement of energy. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind or any addiction to any emotion. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. On a Sunday morning while she was in the shower, her husband said goodbye to his 2 children, yelled something to her while she was in the shower, and then went to the tallest building in Amsterdam and jumped off the building and committed suicide. Now that is a stressful event, and when she got the news, she experienced all the emotions that people experience from something that's shocking and traumatic like that. She was suffering, she was in pain, she was resentful, she was guilty, she was confused, she was angry. She went through the whole gamut of emotions, and all of those emotions, by the way, are derived from the hormones of stress. So she has an event in her life. It changes her biologically. She doesn't know how to control her emotional reaction. It turns into a mood, one long emotional reaction. If you keep reviewing that event in your mind, you begin to produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if the event was occurring.